target today was to get to a rolling 14-day average of between 30 and 50 cases. The fact that we are, in fact, at 22.1 cases over that 14-day period as a rolling average means that this strategy is working. It's more than working. We are ahead of schedule. We have made more progress than we had hoped to make at this point in time. Now, that is something that we can all be pleased about, but it doesn't mean this is over. Today, we're going to take some safe and steady steps. It's not everything that Victorians would want, but it is what is safe at this point in time. We are also in a position to speak in more detail about the approach we're going to take in October, but I'll come to that at the end. Each of you have a document that takes you through in some detail. Offline, we're more than happy to come to any questions that you have about any of those matters, and we're very grateful to you in getting that information out to the Victorian community. But if I can run through a list of changes, things that will change from 11:59 p.m. tonight. Firstly, 127,000 workers will return to various industries. Each of those industries will have a COVID-safe plan. You would remember that when we announced the roadmap some 3 weeks ago, we had hoped to have about 100,000 workers go back to work. We are essentially having 30,000, almost 30,000 additional workers go back to work from midnight tonight. That's exactly what we want. That is exactly what this strategy is all about. Opening up, staying open, being safe and steady. In terms of education, VCE and VCAL students will return for assessments from the 5th of October. This is for metropolitan Melbourne students, and indeed arrangements are already well announced in terms of the regions. Prep to grade 6, special school students and VCE VCAL students will return to on-site learning in the week beginning the 12th of October. So in Melbourne, ahead of schedule, we will be able to have all of our primary school kids back at school in the week beginning the 12th of October. I stress that it won't necessarily be every student in every year level on the one day. It may be staggered throughout the week, but in that week, beginning the 12th of October, Melbourne primary schools are going back to face-to-face learning. That, I'm sure, will be great news for many families. There are some medical issues and some research that's been done about infectivity amongst smaller kids, younger kids, and older students. And I think Alan or Brett can speak to that in just a few moments. Childcare opens for all children. No permit is required, and the 5 kilometre limit does not apply. In terms of in-home child minding, whether it be paid or unpaid, one childminder can do that in each home if that is the arrangement that best suits your circumstances. In terms of public gatherings that are outside, a household or a limit of 5 people from no more than 2 households will be able to gather outside for the purposes of whether it be meeting in a park, doing those sorts of things. That is more than what we had hoped to be able to achieve. It's not as much as people would want, but it is very important that we take those steps safely. Shopping, the limit on 1 person from each household going shopping just once a day is lifted, but I would just say, go shopping for the things you need when you need them. It doesn't need to be just a solo to 1 person any longer, but that is not an invitation, and I think common sense says this to every Victorian, it is not an invitation for an entire family group to go to the supermarket. That is not consistent with us limiting the spread of this virus. But the 1 person once a day is no longer, or from midnight tonight, will no longer apply. Care facilities and hospitals, 1 visitor per day for a maximum of 2 hours. Patients that are under the age of 18 years, 2 parents or carers can visit with no time limit. That is a significant shift, and it's a recognition that at times of great stress, it is really important to be able to be as close to loved ones as is safe. At the same time, though, that's a broad rule. I think that it stands to reason that individual hospitals and in settings within hospitals, for instance, areas that are the most vulnerable, for instance, an intensive care unit, may well have bespoke or individual arrangements. Each patient and their family, there'll be a contact person that they can speak to and have confirmed for them what the visitation arrangements will be. But in general terms, one visitor per patient for a maximum of 2 hours per day. I want to go through a couple of other health matters. Dental care, non-urgent services will be allowed with all dental surgeries practices to have a COVID-safe plan. At the moment, that's urgent care only. That moves to more routine care that's not urgent of nature, but of course important. In terms of allied health and all the different specialties that are covered by that term, that may be provided in certain circumstances. There may be some face-to-face services that were currently not permitted. There'll be further announcements made and further detail provided about that in due course. In terms of faith-based activity, a limit of 5 people plus 1 faith leader for outdoor gatherings and ceremonies will be allowed. I know that is not necessarily as much as many in the faith community, people of faith and their leadership would want, but at this time that is what's safe, and we will continue to examine whether that can be expanded at the appropriate time. I do want to make this acknowledgement because I think it's very important. There are many people of faith in our community who have done it tough this year. They have not been able to come together and to worship together. That is a very important part of who they are and their normal experience. But it is simply not safe for us to go beyond that limit at this time. If we can go further, then of course we will, and we would make those announcements at that time. Weddings, a limit of 5, including the couple, and 2 witnesses in outdoor spaces will be allowed. At the moment, weddings are only allowed on compassionate grounds, so that is an extension. Again, not everything that people would want, but an extension beyond what we had thought possible. Outdoor exercise, and I know this will be of significant interest to many people, facilities such as tennis clubs, bowls clubs and golf clubs remain closed. Outdoor exercise without accessing a facility, so for instance hiking or fishing, that is allowed, but within 5 kilometres of your home, and with the 2-hour time limit applies. That is meaningful for some. I know it's not as much as everyone would like, but I'll come to when the next steps are likely to occur, which will give people at least a field of reference for how long these arrangements will remain in place. Given that so many people, 130,000 nearly, are going back to work, and there are already many people who are in permitted industries, we're also making a further decision that exercise will be allowed within 5 kilometres of your workplace, not simply your home. That is for permitted workers, and you must carry your permit while you do that. And of course, the time limits and other distancing arrangements remain in place as well. Outdoor pools will open. There will be conditions around that, and we'll have more to say about that at the appropriate time.